Well, greetings, friends, and welcome to BBP. Now, last week, we talked about fear and one of the reasons why God doesn't want any of us to live in fear. It leads to bad decision making that can wreck our lives. Today, we're going to take a look at another reason we should not tolerate a life of fear. Fear hinders us from living a life of faith. Now, before we dig into this deeper, I want to give you a good working definition of faith. And probably the best definition I've heard comes from one of my favorite pastors, James MacDonald. I'll paraphrase his definition. Faith is trusting God for a good result, even when we see no evidence of the answer. It's the steadfast awareness that God is in control of everything at all times, even when we can't see what He's doing and even when we need an answer now, but that answer just isn't coming fast enough. If we don't have a foundation of faith to stand on, fear will knock us down every time. So how do we develop this foundation of faith that can sustain us day in and day out? Well, there's no magic formula for this. The whole purpose of this ministry is to encourage you to know Jesus Christ in a personal way. And that's where it has to start. We'll never be able to weather the storms of life and get victory over fear and other destructive behaviors unless we keep our eyes on Jesus and look to Him to lead us through these storms. The Bible tells us in Hebrews chapter 12, He is the author and finisher of our faith. And that's what I want to focus on, that verse, to show you how to develop a life of faith. Now, we all know an author is someone who writes something. In terms of our daily lives, Jesus writes the events that happen to us, and He alone determines what we will face each day and how much stormy weather we will endure. When we look at the events in our lives from this angle, we can have assurance that nothing is going to come our way that Almighty God does not allow. And if He allows something to touch our lives, we can be sure He allows it to strengthen our faith that He is in control. Once we understand that He is our guide through this life, we start exercising those faith muscles, little at a time. And that's a good point to dwell on. God will not allow anything to come our way that will crush our faith. He knows exactly how much we can handle and need for our spiritual growth. Think of Him as your personal trainer in the gym. Now, many years ago, I was a personal trainer. I know you can't tell that now, but honestly, I was. And when I wrote a workout plan for my clients, I factored in everything I knew about them, their daily habits, their attitudes, their level of motivation, all of these things to make sure their workouts increased their strength, but did not tax them to the point where they wanted to just give up. God does the same thing in our lives so that He can build in us a solid foundation of faith a little at a time, so that we eventually learn to trust Him no matter what our circumstances are. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens as we begin by praying and asking Him to lead us through each day and give us the strength we need to handle the pressures we face. He will gladly do that if we ask Him to. And He has a wonderful plan for your life that will strengthen you and not injure you. Psalm 66 says, "We went through fire and through water. You brought us out into a place of abundance." So let me sum it up by saying that faith is the assurance God's got my back. And He's going to lead me through whatever is necessary to increase my faith. I promise you, as your faith increases, fear will decrease and then altogether cease. And your relationship with Jesus Christ will be rock solid, because Jesus is the solid rock. So there you go. I want to thank you for joining me here today. I hope this message encouraged you and strengthened your faith. I'll see you right back here next week with another new message. But until then, keep your eyes on Jesus and not on your troubles. Thank you.